guys. Welcome to Literary Lushes. We're your hosts, Samantha
and Megan.
And we are doing our Fan Appreciation Thanksgiving episode.
Woohoo! Happy Gobble Day.
Yeah, gobble gobble, because this episode is actually going up on Thanksgiving. So if you're listening on Thanksgiving, thank you for being a dedicated fan.
Yes, and may your turkeys be moist.
Oh, no. Okay.
My daughter hates that word.
Yes. There's people who don't care, and then there's other people who absolutely hate that word.
I mean, I like it when you're describing cake, but basically anything else, no.
So juicy. May your turkeys be juicy. Is that better
There
for
you go.
May your turkeys be basted.
And you be wasted.
And you be wasted. There we go. We should make that into a shirt. Well, that conversation got derailed real quick.
Sorry about that.
So in honor of Fan Appreciation, you may have heard a third voice here today. It is my friend Julie. You have seen her on our drink episode. She's my friend in real life, and she's in my real life book club.
Welcome, Julie.
Thank you.
I'm waving to you like everyone can see me waving to
I'm
her.
waving to the microphone. I'm excited to be here.
And we're going to let Julie introduce the book that we're going to be talking about today.
The book they chose is
that you chose.
Well, yeah. That Samantha has heard me gush over this book for a year now. I talk about this book to everybody I know, complete strangers on the street. And I'm not joking. It's Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. It came to my attention, I think it was last September. It was in Reese Witherspoon's book club. And I put it on loan at the library. Well, I recommended it at the library because I don't even think it had come out yet. I could be wrong. But I managed to snag it right away on audio. And I listened and I loved it. And I recently reread it. Actually bought a book because I'm a library girl. And this is my favorite book. And I never reread books. So.
Megan has very strong opinions against library books. But
they're great. No, they're great for people. And I am... by no means a germaphobe, but I guess it's because I love books so much, and in the non-weirdest way, I find books very intimate, personal thing. You cry in books. Sometimes you're sick. You're reading the book, and then you return
well, then maybe
the book.
I will still be in your favor because when I say library loan, everything is electronic on my Kindle.
Oh, okay.
I do not actually go in the library.
Okay, that is completely different.
I read on my iPad.
I'm imagining sometimes when I'm reading a book, I'm crying and my tears are getting it. Sometimes I'm sick when I'm reading a book because I'm at home and I actually have time to read. So then I'm coughing and now my hands, so I'm just imagining and I'm I don't even know what other people are doing with the book being around. Some people can put it on the back of their toilet and then their husbands are peeing.
Especially Filthy Rich about Jeffrey
Epstein. Yeah. That is not a book that's not one I'd want to hold.
So for me, it's great that we have libraries and I completely think that they're super important, that they're great. It's just for me personally, I can't.
So bottom line, everybody, support your local library.
Yes. I like the idea of the...
Well, true confessions, I do ebooks because
ebooks are good.
I have older eyes and it's much easier for me to see. So I like to make my print big. In fact, when I bought, you guys can't see, but when I bought my copy from Amazon, it's the large print version.
Actually, you guys can see because you look at our promo pictures and we use Julie's book.
We did use Julie's book. I actually got the paper copy from the library because I signed up 6 months ago to get it on loan, and there was 55 people on hold for every version, and I basically put my name on every list, and whatever one popped up first was what I was going to take, and it was a paper version, and I was not going to say no to that. So
that's why I think I actually, if in the e-versions on your phone or your iPad or whatever, you can do a recommend to your local library, and then when you recommend a book, you are automatically on the wait list. Which is why cool. I think I must have recommended this one last fall, and I immediately got it and went on later and saw there were 300 people in line.
Yeah, insane.
And it's worth it. It's worth 300 people, guys.
Yeah, every time I talked to somebody at work, they would tell me, or they were asking what I was reading, and I was like, Where the Crawdads Sings. And they're like, oh, you gotta let me know how that is, because I've been wanting to actually read that. And I'm like, yeah, I'll let you know for sure. So... great book choice. I was very excited to be a part of that.
And worth the wait for sure.
Yes.
definitely as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now that I completely derailed the whole thing, or was it
Welcome.
Julie?
I'll
Let's blame Julie.
Let's
Blame
blame
Julie.
Julie. It's okay.
No,
So, fan appreciation, we're gonna blame you.
Okay.
There we go.
That's how we do that.
So now would be an excellent time to talk about the drink that we have for today.
Which is probably why I'm so boisterous.
Bushwhacked.
Anywho, it is swamp water.
Marsh water.
Yes, marsh water.
Swamp marsh, same.
Depends on.
No, in the book they
It's
talk
very
about the
different.
difference between a marsh
Well, I was
and
gonna
a
say-
swamp.
I have the marsh water. Samantha has the swamp
Swamp.
water because yours is more murkier than mine.
Yeah.
Sure.
She
Either way.
has more brandy in hers. So
and more
it's-
brandy in mine. So whatever one that would make it.
Either way, super delicious. If you didn't see the drink video, make sure you go and check it out because it's pretty awesome. And Julia's on that with us as well. We're wearing turkey hats, and more importantly, we're wearing our new Literary Lushes t-shirts.
Yep, which you can get on our marketplace, which the link is on all of our websites.
Yep.
And if you're a $10 or $20 donor on Patreon, you will get it as part of your thank you for signing up. And if you haven't signed up to support us on Patreon, please do, because we had to do, I'm not even kidding, 9 test recordings for this one because we couldn't figure out how to get the microphone levels.
And then if you become a patron, you can actually see or listen to our 9 test takes, which
oh
are
my God,
epic.
gold. Yeah.
Epic.
And also, if you subscribe to us on Patreon, you'll get access to our drink blooper reels, completely horrifyingly uncut, unedited episodes, including all interviews with past authors. So you will hear a lot of gold of us singing.
Oh my goodness. Do we really have to let
Yes. My dog's
Can I
barking.
pay like $10 a month to not have that out?
Megan mispronouncing words.
Oh, good. And you know what? I call BS on that because the one time I actually pronounced a word better than you not recording.
Well,
it's not fair.
I'll try to say it later when we get to the topic.
Who wrote one for the money?
Janet Ivanovich.
Yeah!
You know how many times that took to learn? I like how you just try to throw me under the bus there.
We're going to have Julia as a reoccurring guest.
That's not fair. She's
It was
picking
fair.
your side.
Hey, I listened to that in my car, and it was pretty funny.
Did you see I just got my hand stuck in the
Oh,
jar
yeah.
again?
The mason jar, her wedding ring always gets stuck, so you hear the
Every
clink, clink, clink.
time.
So,
They need new glasses too.
yes, please support us. We are just like really
Falling
just
apart.
we are the conductors of the Hot Mess Express, and it is going down in flames. So please help. Okay, so Where the Crawdads Sing focuses on Kaya, who grows up in the back marsh in North Carolina.
Yes.
And just correct me because I'm pretty sure I'm way wrong. It's a saying where the crawdads sing just means like almost like BFE. It's just like way out there.
Way out there,
It just
right.
means way out there. So instead of saying BFE now, I can say where the crawdad
Right.
sings.
And
What-
for those who don't know, BFE
It
is
means butt fuck Egypt.
yeah, or bumblefuck. I've heard also, but
I've heard butt fuck Egypt, meaning like it is way out there.
Either way.
Either way, my grandson will not be listening to this episode.
We'll make a special one where we like
Sorry,
bleep
Finn.
out things.
But yes, I think Where the Crawdads Sing is like going as far out to where you are just with nature and there's pretty much nothing else there but the sounds.
Okay, just wanted to double check on that
That sounds nice.
because I think I'm gonna start using that.
Where the Crawdads Sing.
And it sounded like very super smart, and then
And then everybody's going to ask you about this book.
exactly.
And you'll be like, listen to my podcast, bitches.
Here's my new business card that has our stuff on it.
And
For $20, you can listen.
and sponsor us.
Oh.
Okay, well, speaking of being one with nature, one of the quotes I really liked in the book, and Megan was saying, and she's probably right, that it's when Tate is teaching Kaya how to read.
Yes.
And it's one of like the
It's
first
the
sentence.
first sentence the first full sentence she actually reads, and it's from the almanac.
Okay, that is way more than I remember. But I do remember the quote because I wrote it down. And it's, there are some who can live without wild things and some who cannot. And I really liked that quote, and I thought it was a nice, foreshadowing is not the right word, but
It
kind
was
of
nice.
just like summed up basically what the whole book is about in a
Right.
roundabout way.
And then she even says it. She's like, "Oh, that." She's like, "I never realized that words and books could, or like books because she's reading them, could have so much meaning in them." And he's like, "Well, not all words have that much of a meaning, but yes, it is a great sentence."
Mhm.
So.
I think we should backtrack. And
Backtrack.
talk about what's actually going on in the book
Let's do
before
it.
she learns to read.
Okay.
Because it starts out with Kaya being 6 years old, and her mother is walking down the lane in her best shoes and a suitcase, alligator shoes and a suitcase, and she's leaving the swamp.
Heartbreaking.
And, yes, and left Kaya and her older brothers and sisters there with an abusive father, which is why she left.
Mm-hmm.
And the older kids all leave her eventually.
One by one.
So it's just Kaya and her father. And I think she's alone till, he sticks around. He comes and goes for a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of mellows out. But then, I think she got a letter from her mom.
Yes.
And that was tipped the scale, and he took off and he left, which was probably a good thing. But
she couldn't read at the time.
7-year-old girl left in a shack in the middle of nowhere to fend for herself.
That's just horrible.
And I actually talked to my grandma about this because they read this book in one of their book clubs. One of her book clubs. Anyway, that swamp water is kicking in. And she said Marsh Water. She said the issue that her book club had with it was they found issue with the reality of a 6 or 7-year-old girl being able to survive on her own in the marsh by herself with limited resources. But I didn't have a problem with that because she's basically been doing that her whole life.
Right. Yeah, I could see. I mean, you had your older siblings who you probably have been watching, and now you're mimicking. Like she even, like when she was making the smoked fish, which tasted like garbage. But she saw them making, and honest to God, the only reason she was able to make it, I think, is because of. And you just talked about how my memory was good. The gentleman who filled her gas up.
Jumping.
Yes.
Love jumping.
And if it wasn't for him,
yeah,
like buying the mussels, and he knew, and then he told his wife, and then
they were so sweet.
And she got her the clothes. Like if it weren't for those two,
she was alone.
But
she lived alone. She was off on her own, but she did have a little bit of support.
Yes.
And I think even living with her family, with the kind of father that she had, they were fending for themselves from day one.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So she's not the typical 6-year-old. My daughter wouldn't have made it out there, Kaya grew up differently.
And she knew how to make a penny stretch.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I was impressed. I was like, dang, girl.
Yes.
I almost cried when she was talking about how she was trying to avoid buying the candy. She's like, no, I can't buy the candy.
And they left the sugar daddy
and they still put the sugar daddy in there for her. I was like, I love this. I love some of the people in this book. And then there were other people who I wanted to.
And there were people trying to look out for her because the truant officer came. She went to school for one day and was made fun of because, of course, she's barefoot. She's poor. She's dirty. She can't read. Her language is hillbilly, basically.
Right.
And, she was made fun of. And so she learned to hide from the truant officer and hide from everybody. And
then at the end of the book, they talk about how the lady who would come, the truant officer, would kind of be in on the fact that she was hiding and would just pretend like she didn't know which way Kaya went in the woods. Because she knew she was,
right. Well, she probably was like, listen, this girl's getting food. I mean, it might not be the best. I mean, she's surviving, and this is how. I mean, she probably would have been a complete mess in taking her away from everything she knew. And
you got to remember, this is the 1950s.
Oh yeah,
too. This is not today.
No.
So,
although when her and her dad did kind of sync up and went fishing and stuff together, I was mildly hopeful.
Yes.
I'm so jaded. I was like, all right, when you getting drinking again?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I see where this is going, and I blame my not my personal history, but my work experience of seeing it being in.
But do you think if he never received the letter from her mother if he
No.
would have gone back.
He would have had other triggers. Something else would have happened. That
Eventually.
he would have had a nightmare of the war and then something.
Yeah, and she wanted to please him so much. I mean, she had the table set, you know.
I know.
It actually would have been one of those things like it was better that he got that and then he left and that she wasn't in the building when he read that.
Yeah.
Then something else triggering and then him beating the crap out of her and then leaving.
Yeah. Very good.
She, as hard as it was, I think she was better off without
Oh
him.
yeah. I like that they had that opportunity so he could teach her a few of the things that she did learn.
She learned to fish. She learned how to run the boat.
She met the one
jumping, right. And Mabel, his wife Mabel.
I loved her.
Yeah. I know.
I was like, oh, just taking her to her bosoms and their pillows. And when they described that, she's like, she hugged me and then I just laid on them like they were pillows. And I was like, I can see this. I can totally see this.
So yeah, that kind of brings up another bullet point that I had about Kaya's relationship with men. So she had a relationship with her father, which obviously was not great, with her brothers, and she was close to her one brother, Josie.
Yes.
Jody.
And he was like 7 or 8 years older than she
Yeah.
was. So he up and left too.
Yeah.
But you know, he basically told her to hide. If anybody comes, hide because you know you can't trust anybody. And she learned to hide really well.
Yeah. And then Tate, who obviously
well, let's talk about Tate.
Yes.
So Tate actually was Jody's her brother's friend. And he recognized Kaya when she would be out in the boat. And this was after her father had left. And he would watch her from a distance. And then it was funny because she would watch him from a distance. And then they played a whole game with
so much wasted
feathers.
Time of them. Just,
yes.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he doesn't want to scare her off. And
I enjoyed the feather exchange, but like just she would be watching him, not wanting to approach. And then he would watch her and not want to approach. It's like,
get on with it.
Yeah, if you guys just got on with it, you could have been like miles away. But
I loved him. I loved him so much, and it broke my heart.
Yeah.
When he left, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And I think I cried a little, and then he came back, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And he's like, "I don't know if I can trust you," and I'm like, "Oh my god, I need you to trust me because I love him." And then I'm like, "He's gonna be the one who kills the other idiot."
The other idiot.
Chase, that's his name. I wanted to call him Adams, but that's his last name, right? Chase Adams.
I don't think so.
Oh,
but
just kidding.
Chase.
Just kidding. Anyways, I was hoping he killed him, but
well,
that's not the
spoiler. Going back to Tate though, and the learning to read, she was 14, I think, when he brought her books and
which
taught
is impressive on his end
to read.
Yeah,
and that's how their relationship kind of started. And he was older, so you know what we were talking about is he actually went off to college with every intention of coming back.
I know,
but there's just too much disparity between them.
There they go spying. You know what? If he went and spying on her like he did in the beginning, you probably wouldn't have came to that dumb conclusion. And it would have been fine.
Chase Andrews.
Oh,
You were close.
And we find out at the end that Kaya's mom had all those paintings, and she had the painting of Kaya as like a toddler.
Yes.
With Chase.
And then she's like, wait.
No, not with Chase.
No, with Tate.
With Tate.
And she's like, what? How is he in this? And then her brother tells her about how he saved her.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, I love you even more.
I know.
And this is when her brother came back years. She was much older. He came back. He was served in the army. He came back and found her. And that's
broke the bad news about her mom.
Yeah, her mom had just passed. That was so sad that, you know, she just, but you know what? Being 6 and remembering things about your mom,
it's pretty freaking impressive.
But then
she was smart. I think she was
very
way
smart.
out of her,
well, obviously, look at all the accomplishments she made.
Oh, yeah.
But when you have a very short, you know, you don't have many experiences, I guess you remember the ones you have. You know?
And especially something that turned out to be so traumatic of her mom.
And you just keep reminding yourself of the same memory.
Yeah, her mom walking down the road and not turning to wave goodbye, and her being like, "Oh, that's strange."
Yeah, I know. It was sad.
Something's up with that. I know. but she kicked ass and became a really awesome illustrator and basically cataloged the whole Marsh system, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, spoiler alert for those who didn't read the book. Do we want to put on air who actually killed?
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
If
you're tuning in, you
That's
should
true.
have already listened.
If you're at this point, you know it's coming, so you might as well.
So she was with Tate. Tate goes to college. He doesn't come back. In the interim, Chase, a local town boy who didn't go to college, sees her out, approaches her. She is so lonely that she takes up a friendship with him. And, you know, it took about a year or so, but he did get in her panties.
Yeah.
And, you know, Tate eventually comes back as a PhD, working as a biologist in the swamp, and apologizes to Kaya, but Kaya has had her heart broken so many times.
Which you can't blame her for not wanting to.
No.
Yeah.
You know, everybody she's ever loved has left. And
or used her for something for their own
yes.
gain and then left.
Yeah, and Tate was the one that got her the editor and said you should do
So
this.
awesome.
So she was actually publishing her paintings, which I would have loved to have had a picture book, Delia.
Nice.
You know, I would have loved to have seen what she painted. So she's making money, and she made improvements to her cabin and everything. But Chase, no, he was, you know what? He was after one thing, but yet I think he did really care for her. But he cared for her in,
like the wrong way.
Yeah, he definitely took advantage of her.
I mean, the fact that he wore her necklace every day.
Yes, and didn't take it off.
And never took it off.
Well, and then he also was a tape that overheard him talking to someone else saying that she was like a wild thing, and it was definitely worse.
Oh yeah.
So I'm wondering if that was
trying to show.
I'm imagining him with her versus his fiance with the pearls and being all like, oh, I'm just gonna do it this way, and I'm gonna be all proper. Nothing against proper people, but yeah.
So spoiler alert: Kaya kills Chase.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Well, after he tried to rape her, and
after he was
gave her
shitbag.
a big black eye, and she thought that was the only way she was going to get rid of him, apparently. But when you read the book, you don't know who's killed Chase until the very, very end.
Yeah, and you're sitting there going, all right, who is this? Who is this? And then
I thought it was Tate. Like
I really thought it was him
thought it was
too.
going to be Tate.
I thought it was going to be Tate for a good while, and then I thought maybe it was going to be her brother.
Yeah, could have been.
Like that was his way of getting, like, protecting her now because he wasn't able to protect her from their dad. So he was like, you know what, this is how I can get, you know.
Yeah. Well, I thought it could have been Tate because of the red fibers, because that was Tate's stocking cap that he had given her.
Right.
So I thought, you know, maybe Tate approached him at some point before he gave her the hat. But
they said they saw the man on the boat.
Really fuzzy and a lot of circumstantial evidence, but you don't really know until the very end.
It was a good one.
Yeah.
And I totally just forgot what I was gonna say. Just thinking about the murder. Oh, I liked how the murder. Yes, I liked how the book alternated between the past of how the characters get to that point and then her trial. And maybe that's just the attorney in me, but I did like that,
because you could see what was going on with her now and see what was going on with the murder investigation later. But it wasn't until almost the end that the past kind of synced up. Right.
And her trial was interesting when they had the bus drivers testify, and the one was saying coming from where she met her publisher, there was an old lady who looked like it could be her, and then going back, it was a
skinny guy.
A skinny guy.
Although I don't remember if it was skinny guy and then old lady or what.
One of the two.
Because what they were trying to determine is she had gone to Greenville to meet with her editor for the very first time, and after she'd written already 3 or 4 books, and they were trying to put the murder on Kaya, but she obviously was out of town, but she had taken the bus. And, you know, they had the editor on the stand and everything. But what they were trying to figure out was if Kaya, the timeline fit, could Kaya have caught a bus back to the swamp, killed Chase, and made it back to Greenville, and then came back again the next day. And that's where all the disguises came in.
Which was so diabolic and awesome and just fits perfectly in with her.
But then they said the timeline that would give her like 20 minutes to do this.
Kill it.
Except she's the swamp girl and the marsh girl, and
she can run fast.
She knew what the currents,
and they were talking about with the boat and how if anything had been different, like if the currents had been shifted one way instead of the other, it would have taken her like too long to get there, and she would have like missed the bus or something like that.
And she never spoke a word during the trial, so you get no hint from the author whether she did it or didn't do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you actually finish the book not truly knowing how she did it. Like, how she got her alibi, how she got to the fire tower, and how she got back to maintain her alibi. But you don't know how she got Chase to the fire tower, how she got him to the top, how she pushed him down, and how she cleaned up the scene. You don't know any of that.
And she must have been wearing that red cap.
She must have been.
Because, that what they said, well, the fibers could have been on his denim jacket from 4 years ago, but she didn't have that cap that long.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I'm remembering right, Tate gave her that hat after she got the busted eye.
Well, and I was thinking she probably wore it while she was on the boat to maybe cover her hair.
Right. Maybe. The only way you really know that she did it was by the poetry and the fact that she had the necklace, the shell necklace that he never took off. And that was the end of that explanation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which, speaking of poetry, another spoiler, but again, if you're listening,
you should have read it.
Should have read it.
Shame on you.
So throughout the book, there's Amanda Hamilton poems. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, you find out that Kaya was actually Amanda Hamilton. So not only did she not learn how to read until she was 14 and then becomes this distinguished
illustrator,
almost biologist? Naturalist. But
That's a nice big word.
Yeah, that word. Naturalist. And it's easy to say.
Yes.
She also is like a local poet.
Yeah. But that was her, and you don't know it until the end when, after she's passed, she lived to be in her 60s, and Tate finds the poems when he's searching for a will and deeds and that kind of thing. And even he didn't know that she was this poet, a local poet they knew, but he had no idea that his wife was the author of those poems. And it was her way of getting out the things that she wanted to say, but she was so people shy that she didn't talk to people, so she put it in words. But the last poem in the book kind of sealed the deal for the fact that she actually did this. It was really good.
And when I read that poem, I'm like, this doesn't sit well with me, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And then once I realized, because they go through the poem and then the author essentially says without saying that Kaya killed Chase. And I went back and I reread the poem and matched it up with the timeline of events. And I was like, oh, holy shit, she did kill him.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, they find the necklace.
Tate knew as soon as he read the poem, he knew. Because he never questioned, they spent, 40 years together, and he never questioned the fact. And, they never solved Chase's murder. And he saw the poem and
his mother drove me nuts.
Chase's mom?
Yeah, I get it, but at the same time,
Patty love.
It's your kid and you want to find out who murdered him, but she also still really drove me nuts. She thought her shit didn't stink.
Well, so do you think Tate knew all along that Kaya did it?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. He might have had suspicions, but then he was like, nah, she would tell me anything.
Yeah, and she didn't seem like capable of that. But if you're going to be threatened, and you're going to be threatened forever, because Chase was not going to go away. He was already married, and he was still coming for her.
And she saw it with her dad.
Right.
With her siblings.
Right.
And
As soon as he struck her, she was like, Ma, I understand why you left now. Mm-hmm. And she didn't want to be that person. You know, and I guess this was, I don't condone murder, but this was the only way she
But
thought she
sometimes
had
people
out.
like really deserve it.
No, one of my.
I mean, I'd be a fool to say that if I wouldn't have a list.
I mean,
you have to be really heinous, like Epstein, to be on this list. But I have a list.
No, and Chase was not. Yeah.
Now I'm gonna get investigated by because of this.
If you want to know who's on Megan's murder list, slide into her DMs.
Obviously, I didn't kill Epstein because I didn't even hear about him until we read the book, and that was definitely months after his death.
He is just the fucking worst. But.
Anyways, sorry, derailed it again.
Can we talk about some of there's a couple
No.
things we can't? Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
I could gush about this book forever. Things I liked. I liked the part. Well, I liked that little Kaya didn't see color. She went to Jumpin' at Mabel's.
Mm-hmm.
Never crossed her mind, and I really liked the part where she was sneaking along. She was heading to Mabel's to get advice, feminine advice, and came
One of my
upon
favorite scenes.
A couple of white guys throwing rocks and stuff at Jumpin', who was just doing his best to walk down the road and ignore them. Were they throwing rocks? They were calling out and doing stuff. Well, she hid and she hammered them.
Oh, that made me
From
so
the sidelines.
happy.
I
With,
was like
her basket of books or whatever that she had, and she smacked him right in the face.
She knew that was so wrong, and she defended Jumpin', even if Jumpin' didn't know that she was, because he was just doing his best to stay out of trouble. We're talking the 60s, and
it was. She even said they had different churches, and
right,
which.
Yeah,
I mean,
and during their trial, there was a certain place, the coloreds in the 60s were allowed to sit, but towards the end, they allowed Jumpin' and Mabel to sit down there by Kaya because they were her family. The other thing I liked about this book, because I read a lot of books, and I like to read for enjoyment. I like a good mystery. I like to read them and not have symbolism, because if it's a book where I'm like, I don't get it, and they're like, well, the sunset was supposed to be this, and it's like, I don't want to read stuff into my books.
Don't watch Us.
Okay, Great Gatsby, one example.
That's on our list.
Yes. No, sorry guys, didn't like that book. Too much symbolism that I want to just read about characters. I don't want all this philosophy. But
no wonder
this
why you
book,
like Janet Evanovich. There is no symbolism in that book whatsoever.
But this book, the author explains the symbolism.
Yes.
Like Chase's big shiny boat is like the peacock, she puts everything in the terms of nature, and how the mantises, eat, they attract their mates and then they eat their heads.
Strong, independent women.
The fireflies change their codes. I mean, there was a lot of symbolism, but she explained it to us.
And by the way, thank you for teaching me all this stuff, because I was like, while I'm listening, walking around Publix, I'm listening, and they would be talking about the fireflies and how they would change. And
I thought that was so cool.
And I'm just walking around Publix, and I go, huh. Like just in the middle of the aisle, huh.
Which means that Delia,
I learned a lot.
I think she does have a nature background.
Yes, yeah.
It was interesting to learn about
her husband.
The bullfrog thing, where like one of the bullfrog will sit next to the other bigger frog
and pretend he's making the noise.
And pretend he's making the noise, and while he's out there with the one mate he chose, he's like, "Hey, ladies, yeah, I was the one who was making those noises." And I'm like,
one of the things I saw on TV, her and her husband at the time were in Africa and did a lot of.
There's my
And I don't remember exactly what they were doing, but I don't know if it was lions or whatever. But they were naturalist biologists in Africa, so she obviously understands all of this stuff. But I loved that she made it so that people like me can understand where she's coming from, instead of closing a book and going, "What just happened?"
Or what are my
I don't get this.
That's exactly what happened.
And
when
she
I
talked
movie,
about she talked about the attorneys during the trial, how there was like a pecking order of one wearing the bow tie.
That made me laugh so hard. By the way,
as an attorney,
she's
like, now I'm gonna sit there and look at everybody and go, "You're era.
Yeah, are you the bow tie guy, or are you the kind man who knew very little about her and took on her case pro bono and
Has
treated her
nothing to
like
prove.
like a
Yeah.
niece, trying his best to get her out of it.
Mhm.
And there was another thing during the trial in his closing statement, where he was talking about, if we as a town would have accepted her, we shunned her because of what we thought she was, but was she that way because we shunned her? I thought it humbled the town.
Yeah.
I was like, shame on you people.
I know.
Shame on you.
Which is the there's the word I can't say.
Come on, Megan.
Ostracizing.
Ostracization.
Oh, I thought you were okay.
Same
Same thing. I got it right. You didn't. Did
There
you
we
just
go.
do that just for me to make me feel better?
I'll never tell.
Ivanovich.
She's like, you'll find out when I die. And there's a poem in my floorboard.
Now it's Florida. That poem would be washed away in the aquifer. Yes, the ostracization of the Marsh people.
Which is super sad. But I mean, I also get it because, unquote, or quote unquote, they were white trash kind of
Oh,
people.
absolutely.
Mhm.
And like it was shown very much so in the scene where with the little girl,
Yeah,
the
and
preacher's
mom.
daughter,
Yes.
and the mom come out and
Did you touch her? Did you
Oh
touch
my
her?
gosh.
oh and I was like, I'm reading that and I'm like, what the
How can you do that to a child?
Right.
and
Like
then-
a 6-year-old child, because she was very young.
so
at the
and then I
time.
mean so just being told like she's dirty, like how do you not just like, that's a
Yeah.
big thing to
So why
have
would-
on an impressionable little child. Like why wouldn't you be like, oh honey, let me
Yeah, let me
Let
help.
me help
Is there
you.
something I thought it was nice too that towards the end that the lady at the was it the Piggly Wiggly that
Oh, the
Kaya would come in
convenience
with her
store.
change that
Yeah.
she admitted that
Yes.
said that she was throwing in extra change before
Yeah.
she could learn to count, before she knew
Yeah.
about money.
Yeah.
To try, people were helping, but they didn't want anybody else to know they were helping, other than Jumpin' and Mabel.
Yeah.
During the trial, it comes up too that after he was murdered, before the trial, that one of the women that worked in the little downtown area stated, I saw her get on the bus, I saw her leave. I mean, she stuck up for her. Kaya's like 25 now,
Yeah.
and apparently gorgeous. And I liked that Tate loved her enough to live in her little shack.
Wow.
Yes,
Yeah.
they had running water and toilets and everything now, but
They could've
he
told-
respected her enough and loved her enough that he would live in her world. And because he was a biologist,
Yeah, they were kind of cut from the same cloth, because you don't get too much insight into his background, but you do get to see his dad scupper.
Yeah.
A little bit. And it does seem like, although their paths were very different, they had similar upbringings, because obviously he was in the Marsh a lot as a kid, because you have that painting of him with Kaya when she's a
Right.
toddler, and she would see him
and
on
he
the
knew
boat
the
all
feathers.
time.
He was
Yeah.
leaving her feathers. He knew all about it. He was
Mhm.
impressed that she knew about it. And I liked how his father came around, because there's one part where when Tate is still in high school and he's questioning, why aren't you going to the dances? Is there a girl? And he's like, well, there's talk that you're hanging out with the Marsh girl and don't get
Marsh
yourself in
girl.
trouble.
Yeah.
And Tate
rolls
was
his
very
eyes.
defensive about that. And he's like,
Mhm.
you say you're not judging, but by calling her that, you're already judging,
Yeah.
But then in the end, when the trial came up, his dad came and sat behind Kaya.
Yep.
Had never spoken to her,
You're
but
right.
it was like, you know what? He loves her, and
That was pretty
Yeah.
nice.
And so, Conscious Corner, we are going to do Black Friday.
Traditions. So first off, be safe out there. Don't do anything stupid.
Don't trample anybody at Walmart.
No.
Just simmer down.
And you know what? If someone put their hand on something first, respect that that's theirs. Don't go putting your hand on it and then have a stare down of like who's gonna grab it when they release it.
You guys
Had that happen
literally
one year.
just celebrated what you're thankful for. Don't be an
Yes.
asshole.
But my sister and I, it's a cute tradition. We started it because of my niece when she was a little one. We would go out and get the bigger items,
Mhm.
and Walmart would split the toy sections like throughout the whole store, so you couldn't even be near the things you wanted to get. So I would get some things and she'd get other things. And then as my niece got-
divide and conquer.
yeah, and then after my niece got older, she didn't need those Fisher Price items anymore. Like it was just like whatever. And so, but we were like, oh, but it's still fun because it's just something that her and I go do. And we put Michael Bublé on. Hey, Michael. We put that on every
I like
year.
how you shout out Michael Bublé, but not your sister or your niece.
Because neither of them will listen to this.
Hey,
But
Steph,
Michael
I'm calling
will.
you out.
But Michael Bublé is more likely to listen to this than my sister. Anyways, although she might. I'll tell her she's in it. She might listen to it now. So we put that on, and we sit there and pray that it's cold enough so that when we get our hot chocolates, we're not dying. Because we still will get a hot chocolate from Starbucks, whether it's hot or cold. So we go, please be cold. And then, so lately we've just kind of go to like Bass Pro, and we go there because they have a $10 fleece
cute
jacket.
Yeah.
It's a zip up that has no logos on it.
Oh.
So if you want to embroider stuff on it,
like Literary Lushes.
that's your place to go because it's $10 and they have a whole bunch of different colors, different sizes, men
I
and
never
women's
would
and
have
children.
thought to go to Bass Pro Shop on Black Friday.
And it's like 5 a.m.
Is it crowded? Like, does Bass?
Yes,
Really?
there's usually a line, but it's usually because people are getting like ammo. But like my sister gets her jeans there every year because they put these jackets and these jeans out only on Black Friday.
Oh.
And once those sizes are gone, they're gone. So
Secrets
that's why we hit the store. Like other people will go for guns and all that other stuff, but dog beds are real cheap at Bass Pro on Black Friday. Fun fact. So we do that, and then we'll go to like Walmart in the middle of the night, like after everybody's done the crazy at Walmart, to go through the DVD bins because those are great stocking stuffers.
Oh my gosh, Mike and I, we used to play a game at Walmart where you would have to rummage around, you'd have to go like elbow deep into the bin and just grab a random DVD and pull it out. And whatever you pulled out, you would have to buy because it was like $3.
Yeah.
And you'd have to watch it too?
I mean, if you really wanted to. But we got some good pulls out of there, like the Men in Black movie.
Ooh, that is a good pull.
Yeah. And then, some like not so good ones.
I have never gotten up early and done Black Friday shopping.
Me neither.
Ever. I will pay extra money to avoid the crowds. I am Kaya. I'm going to sit in my house and let everybody else fight over stuff.
And I'll just order it on Amazon.
And I'll just, Mr. Amazon brings me whatever I need.
Well, before it was about, because it was my niece and it was like the bigger stuff. Now we like avoid the crowds. Like I said, we'll go to Walmart after everybody's done the stuff at Bass Pro. It's really
nice.
not even
it's
too
nice
horrible.
because it's a family. It's
it
a family
is.
outing.
So we don't go where all the insane lines are. And then we do hit up Vera Bradley, which is the Vera Bradley outlet. Their stuff goes like 85% off on sale. Yeah, that's where I like stock up on all the Christmas stuff. And
I'm exhausted just hearing about this stuff.
But so it's one of those things like we'll have Thanksgiving and then we take like a little nap because we're those horrible people that go shopping on Thanksgiving because we're like, who's eating at 4 o'clock on Thanksgiving anyways? Everybody knows you eat at like noon.
No.
Oh, my that's just our family.
Yeah, no, we eat like at 4 o'clock. Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
My family's always like noon. You're done at 2. Everybody goes home at 2, and then just like
that's funny.
Oh no!
And so I was like, whatever.
But in my family we have 3-hour trips between my brother, my sister. So and a lot of times people are working Wednesday, so it's later in the day because you got to get there.
Yeah, no. So we're those horrible people that go out at like 7
You
o'clock
are
at
the
night.
horrible one that make all those people work on Thanksgiving Day.
They get time and a half, and they probably need that money.
Yeah,
they probably do look forward to that.
I mean, I know when I worked at Steak and Shake, I begged them to let me work Thanksgiving because let me tell you, you make mad money.
Oh yeah,
on holidays.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Not even just from the employer, but like if you're a server, that people feel bad that you have to work that holiday, so they tip extra.
Yeah. And you're not in retail. Thank God.
Retail, God.
I think I was at Starbucks last year on Thanksgiving, and and apologized. I'm like, sorry you have to work. She's like, no. She says we get really good tips on holidays.
Yeah,
and then you're like, well, just for that, I'm not going to tip you.
Happy
Thanksgiving.
So we go out Thursday night, and then we hit up I think 1 or 2 stores. Like we really don't go crazy, and then we go back to my house, and we nap. Until
second nap of the day.
Second nap.
Okay.
And then Bass Pro opens, and then we go to Bass Pro, and then we spend the rest of that morning up until like 10 o'clock in the morning at other stores, and then we go back home at 10 and sleep the rest of the day.
And then go to Walmart.
Walmart's somewhere like around 2 a.m.
Oh my God.
Because we're in the other stores until
See,
about
not
2
me.
a.m. and then we're like, all right, let's just swing into Walmart. And then
I don't
me.
like people.
Like I said, I'll pay extra.
Yeah.
There is nothing I want bad enough to wait in line outside of Best Buy for 5 hours. There's just
I've never been to a Best Buy on Black Friday. I can say that.
I mean, even like Walmart and stuff, you know, it's like, and are you really getting that good of a deal? Because you always hear the theories that they hike up the prices so that they can drop them.
And now
Well, that's why you
the
scoop it out. You go out 2 weeks before the Black Friday. You look at what you want. You look at the price, and then when you're out on Black Friday, if it's the same, then you're like, nope. And then if it's cheaper, you're like, hey, I'm getting a deal. Like the Vera Bradley stuff. I know that's a deal.
I'd rather just pay. I like to wait till Cyber Monday.
Well, that's nice that you guys have them. I work on Cyber Monday.
Oh,
so
I do
there's
too.
no-
I do too.
We can't be
cyber.
We
You
can't-
can do your phone.
We're not supposed to be doing personal time at work and
like
in-
listening to
Your
audiobooks.
books. Okay, listen. You can listen to audiobooks while actually
with
editing.
derogatory language
While
for the
editing,
whole office to hear.
you can do that while editing photos from an event. Okay, that does not hinder. But if you're shopping on Amazon, you can't be editing photos.
True.
But you can while you're listening to an audiobook.
It's okay.
Point taken.
Okay, do y'all
They're
see how
never
they're
gonna
ganging up
invite
on me?
They're not going to invite me back.
I'm having a great
She's
time.
like, I'm gonna buy her back. Good grief! I need more Marsh Water to
Oh
deal
my
with this
God,
gang up.
that's funny.
So
We
that
pick
there's
on
the
you 'cause
Love
we
Conscious
love-
Corner.
Yes, that was our conscious corner. Just be polite on Black
Yeah.
Friday. People are working.
And
Double tip.
if Megan has touched it, you don't get to touch it.
She will uppercut you.
No, I'm not kidding. There was one time at Walmart. I don't even remember what I had my hands on. And my sister's like, I want that. And I was like, okay. And they had it stacked up and they were like in boxes. And and everybody put their hand on the one that they were playing because you can't take it off the shelf until they say. And so my hand is on it. And I swore I was sitting there for 5 minutes with my hand on this damn box. And somebody walks up and put their hand on the same box that I had my hand on. And I turned my head and I looked at them and I'm like, you gonna try me? Go ahead. And then they were like, oh, no, it's for the one above it. And I'm like, I swear to God, if you try to take this, I'm going to take you out. I've been sitting here for 10 minutes.
My arm is numb.
Just because you're short doesn't make it my fault.
Oh, I've never heard of, I've never actually, in all the years I've done this, I've never actually seen a fight or anything insane. But that was one point where I was like, go ahead and try me. Because it was more like,
You were going to be on the 5 o'clock news.
I was. And you know what? I would have said, they need to learn some manners.
Yeah, well,
as you
back in
throat
the day,
punch
that
them.
was the Cabbage Patch Dolls, you know, where
Oh
people
my God,
were
I
just
remember.
running for these. My son was small then, running for these Cabbage Patch
So you remember
Dolls.
the Furby stuff too.
Oh my God.
I remember the
I'm
Furbies.
so happy. He never was into any of that. I never had to fight.
My
that.
mom said she had the hardest time getting us Furbies.
I
was
never
like,
got a
Mom, you know
Furby.
it's
They
okay.
creep me out.
I love the
They
Furbies. And then
creep
you get the
me
little
out.
baby Furbies. And because
My
my
daughter
sister
had one of those.
my sister and I would get a lot of the same gifts because we're 16 months apart. So I'd get a Furby and she'd get a Furby and we'd have them talk and then they'd be speaking this weird language to each other and shaking back and forth and and then you hear stories about how some of them start saying really creepy things.
Well,
and I'm
that's why they creep me out. And have you ever seen one without the fur when it's just like
Oh, it's so
mechanical?
creepy.
Oh,
I love it. I'm
Nope.
gonna have that at my next Halloween party for you.
thanks. So our next episode is going to go up on December 12th, and we are going to be talking about the book called Liberated Spirits. It's by Hugh Ambrose and John Schuttler, Schuttler.
That sounds right. I'd say Shuttler.
Schuttler. And it's about 2 women who do battle in the Prohibition era.
I'm very excited for this because I've always wanted to read a book during the Prohibition era. It's always something that's fascinated me. Where they tell you can't drink alcohol, and I think I would be one of those people breaking the law.
But you had to be very careful.
And they had super sellers and all this
Mhm.
insane stuff. So I'm very excited to read this.
Yeah,
book.
no, it sounds very interesting.
Well, everybody, we wanted to thank you again.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you
Oh, yes.
for
joining us.
and dealing with us and
Oh
our
my
9
God.
test takes.
Test takes, things not working, things taking forever, us showing up and being like, yeah, we said 6 and now it's like 7.
9:30.
I meant for the video.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And thank you to all of our listeners,
We couldn't
local
do
and
this without you.
international.
Well, we could do this without you, but it would be real weird.
Yes.
So we appreciate it.
Yes, we appreciate it. And don't forget to tell all your friends, family, neighbors,
Random grocery people.
Yeah.
About us.
Your pets, about us. Use the hashtag LitLushPodcast. We're going to keep doing our random giveaways. Please, if you can, spare anything, consider donating to us on Patreon. We would love to get some better equipment so that we don't have tech issues every week. We would love to get a shaker so that I don't make a fool of myself in every drink video.
Stuff.
Yeah. So if you could spare anything, please
you
do.
You get something out of it.
Yes. You get a bunch of cool shit. As the payment donations go up, the things you get in exchange go up. So check it out on our Patreon page.
You just made it sound like prostitutes.
Sorry. The donation levels start at $2, but there's also an option to do a custom amount.
Julie's never coming back.
She's never coming back. And
Megan is crazy.
Yeah, and that's it. We're gonna just sign off now.
No more Marsh Water
for anybody.
Yeah.
That's going on the ban list.
But it was good.
Yeah, it was delicious. And as we like to say, stay lively with your libations.